And welcome back, everyone. My name is Gio. In this video, Billy B and I will be giving you our take on the NFC North division. Here are the futures totals for wins for every team and the odds to win the division, conference, and Super Bowl. First up are the Chicago Bears, who Vegas has at winning 6.5 games this year. After drafting their quarterback for the future in Mitch Trubisky last year, the Bears needed to get him some weapons. So they brought in former Pro Bowler, wide receiver Allen Robinson, slot receiver Taylor Gabriel, and tight end Trey Burton. And if they can develop some chemistry together, things should improve on offense. Defensively, the Bears were pretty solid last year. Maybe not spectacular, but still top 10. There weren't any real standout players, but I think they got themselves a future star and leader with their first-round pick, inside linebacker Raekwon Smith. But it's still a rebuild for the Bears, and they're stuck in one of the toughest divisions in the NFL. There are some winnable games early in the season. My best-case scenario for Chicago is going 3-3 in the division and 5-5 with the rest of their games. I'll settle at 5-11 for the year, which is going to be under the total, so I strongly recommend you take under the 6.5. Next up are the Detroit Lions, who Vegas have at winning 7.5 games. There's plenty of talent on the offensive side of the ball. Quarterback Matt Stafford puts up great numbers. The receiving core, led by Golden Tate, is pretty good, although I'm not sure about their tight end situation as they let Eric Ebron walk. Detroit needs a good tight end because the offensive line has been the weak link for this team, in my opinion. I do like the addition of running back LeGarrette Blount. The Lions showed head coach Jim Caldwell the door and brought in longtime New England Patriots defensive coordinator Matt Patricia as the new boss. This should help a defense that ranked 27th in total defense last year. It may take a while for things to click this year for the Lions to make the playoffs. Aaron Rodgers will be back for the Packers, so don't expect the Lions to sweep Green Bay like they did last year. And Minnesota is very tough. And my best case scenario for Detroit is going 3-3 in division and 5-5 with the rest of their games. I like them to go 7-9 this year, which is slightly below the number, but I'm not going to put any money on it. They won't be winning the division, conference, or Super Bowl this year either. Next up are the Green Bay Packers, who Vegas has at winning 10 games this year. The 2017 season was lost. The second quarterback Aaron Rodgers broke his collarbone. Nobody's more important to their team than Rodgers is to Green Bay. He loses one of his favorite all-time targets as wide receiver Jordy Nelson is gone, but let's face it, you and I can be his wide receivers and he'd find us 10 times each. It's still a running back by committee for Green Bay. Rookie Aaron Jones looked promising but kept spraining his MCL last year. They have to get away from using converted wide receiver Ty Montgomery. Injuries are starting to take a bite out of their offensive line as well. Defensively, the Packers let go longtime defensive coordinator Dom Capers. Green Bay really struggled on defense last year. New general manager Brian Gutekunst, did I say that right, took over from Ted Thompson and drafted quarterbacks with his first and second round picks in this year's draft. So lots of changes in Green Bay this year. It may take a while for this team to gel, but as long as they have Aaron Rodgers under center, the Packers are a threat to win any game. My best case scenario for Green Bay is going 5-1. They're always tough in their own division, and maybe 8-2 with the other 10 games. I think 11-5 is where they're going to go, which is slightly over the total. They will challenge for the division, but I'm not going to put money on them to win the division, but I will take the over 10-game win total. And last but not least are my Minnesota Vikings, who Vegas has at winning 10 games this year. Well, the Vikings went 13-3 last year and were dominating early in the NFC Championship game until the wheels fell off and they lost to the eventual Super Bowl champion Philadelphia Eagles. Minnesota reloaded in the offseason, upgrading a quarterback by bringing in Kirk Cousins to replace Case Keenum. These two quarterbacks are very similar, but Cousins is a bit bigger with a stronger arm. He'll also be helped by new offensive coordinator John DeFilippo, the mastermind who coached Carson Wentz and Nick Foles to Super Bowl glory last year. Minnesota boasts one of the best receiving units in the NFL, led by wide receivers Adam Thielen, Stephon Diggs, and tight end Kyle Rudolph. And hopefully they'll get a full year out of running back Dalvin Cook, who was in the early running for Offensive Rookie of the Year until hurting his knee in Game 4. The Vikings already had the top defensive unit last year, and they added defensive tackle Sheldon Richardson in the offseason. The only concern is the offensive line. Guard Nick Easton is already gone for the year, and center Pat Elflein will miss a couple of games to begin the season. But this is a team that is built to win this year. The new talent they brought in, the return of Cook, and the hiring of DeFilippo should be enough to finally push the Vikings over the top. There are some tough games on the schedule for sure this season, but if the Vikings can manage to win some of them, they should be able to not only win the division, but are my pick to win the NFC Conference and the Super Bowl. My best case scenario for Minnesota is to go 5-1 in the division and 8-2 with their other 10 games. I think they'll go 12-4, which is over the 10 number. I strongly recommend you bet on them to go over the win total, bet on them to win the conference, and bet lots of money on them to win the Super Bowl. They are my picks. Skol, baby. Okay, that's my take for the NFC North. For his thoughts on this division, here's Billy B.
First up for the NFC North, we have the Chicago Bears. The Bears are one of my sleeper teams in the NFC. They have a new head coach in Nagy, who is an offensive mind, who should do well with second-year quarterback Mitch Trubisky, and I think Mitch will take a huge step forward this year. They are a team on the rise. They have talented players on the defensive side of the ball. The only thing that keeps them from being a playoff team in my eyes is that the division that they play in. However, I do have them going over the win total of 6.5, and this is my favorite over-under bet in the NFC. However, I would not bet them for the Super Bowl, NFC Conference, or the NFC North. Next up, we have the Detroit Lions. The Lions will go as far as Matthew Stafford takes them. They have an above-average passing offense, but they always seem to have trouble establishing the run. The defense is nothing to write home about, and with one of the toughest schedules in the NFL, I have them going under the win total of 7. I would not bet them for the over-under wins or for the Super Bowl, NFC, or NFC North. Next up, the Green Bay Packers. The Packers always have a shot to win any game with a healthy Aaron Rodgers. With the addition of tight end Jimmy Graham, Rodgers will have another red zone weapon at his disposal. Losing Jordy Nelson might be a little bit of an issue for Rodgers, but I'm sure he will be fine. If they can stay healthy on the defensive side of the ball, they will win a lot of games. I have them at exactly the win total of 10 wins, so I would not bet them over-under. However, I would bet them for the Super Bowl at 11-1. I would not bet them for the NFC North or the NFC Conference because the value isn't there. Last up is the Minnesota Vikings, who went hard after prize free agent Kirk Cousins. They are clearly in win-now mode as they have one of the best teams in the NFL. Their defense is top 5, and their biggest weakness on the team is the offensive line, but Kirk Cousins should be able to mask that issue. This team should not have trouble winning games this season. I have them going over the win total of 10, but I would not place a bet on that. I would bet them to win the Super Bowl at 12-1, but I would not bet them for the NFC North or NFC Conference again because the value and the numbers are not there. Okay, and those are our thoughts on the NFC North Division. Make sure you check out all of our other videos and give us a thumbs up. Give us your thoughts in the comments section, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel. We hope you enjoyed this video. For Gio, I'm Billy B. See you next time, and let's take the man's money.